Within the last couple of minutes, according to the Reuters news agency, the French Coast Guard says it's carrying out a search and rescue mission for 36 people believed to be missing in the English Channel. That's according to the Maritime Authority for Northern France. Joining us in the studio, our Home Affairs and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, clearly troublesome news. Two things. Do we have any more information on this? And second of all, a reminder that there are still people clearly trying to make this crossing every day.
Yeah, we do have more information. They have now been safely picked up by the French maritime agencies and have been taken to Dunkirk. Now, these were reports a few hours ago of 36 people on board a small boat in trouble. This is not, to be honest, unusual. It's what happens often when they're trying to get offshore from France. They hit the waves, they can encounter problems, and they then call on the help of the French maritime agencies to come and rescue them. That appears to be what has happened in this instance. We believe that they are all safe and accounted for, and as I say, en route to Dunkirk now. Of course, what happens when they make it far enough offshore and to that halfway point into UK territorial waters is those migrants get on their telephones again and call the UK maritime agencies and say that they're in trouble, and that then precipitates a rescue response from the British authorities. But they didn't make it this far this time, but it is an indication that, yes, they are still coming. Well over 1,000 so far in the first few weeks of the year, and every indication really that we are heading for another record year of these small boats making that crossing.
Now, let's move on to obviously the situation involving Ukraine and Russia. Lots of British ministers have been out and about, haven't they, this week? Prime Minister's been in Brussels and Warsaw today. Liz Truss has been in Moscow. We know Ben Wallace, the Defence Secretary, is going to Moscow tomorrow. Prime Minister seemed pretty bleak today, talking that we could see an invasion imminently, effectively. I mean, what is that your sense of where we're at? We know the build-up continues. Is the Prime Minister right to assert that this is really possibly going to happen pretty soon?
I don't really see the situation as one that is going to result in the immediate term in any kind of incursion. However, as always with a build-up of troops on both sides, there is always the potential for some kind of miscalculation that leads to some incident that then unfolds into a bigger issue. But that's not the indication really that we're getting. I know that we've had the Prime Minister, the US government as well, warning of the potential for some kind of invasion now for weeks. It hasn't happened so far. In fact, yesterday I was interviewing for a piece that's been running today, an interview with the former Chief of the General Staff, Lord Dannatt. Now, he is actually optimistic. He believes that it has been the strategy of Vladimir Putin all along to demand concessions with menace. And effectively, that's why he's been massing the troops to try to get whatever concessions out of the West. And at the end of the day, even if there are no significant concessions, even just to stick a spoke in the wheel to cause division between some of these NATO allies, particularly I'm thinking of Germany and France, as compared to the approach. Essentially, yeah, we have.
And just also, you get a sense that both Vladimir Putin on Monday and Liz Truss today have gone to Moscow. You assume with the best possible intentions to try and talk this through, and have been, we saw this with the Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, earlier on, frankly humiliated to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely, as far as Russia is concerned, they've got what they wanted. They're absolutely in the spotlight, the centre of world attention. You have got leaders and senior politicians from governments around the world travelling to Moscow to sit at a very large table with Vladimir Putin. As you say, Emmanuel Macron earlier this week doing just that. Liz Truss there now. And tomorrow it will be the turn of the UK Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace. What you have from the UK and US governments effectively is a two-prong strategy. So you've got the diplomacy, which is happening in the form of these visits by the defence and the foreign secretaries, as well as other world leaders and senior politicians. But you have also got visits, such as a visit to Poland today by the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, sending out a tougher message, a message of solidarity and support for NATO allies in that region, who are understandably very worried about the potential for conflict, and if there was conflict, what the ramifications of that could be for their nations as well. So you've got the Prime Minister showing this solidarity, saying that, for instance, and in fact we saw it today, a further 350 troops, Royal Marines, arrived in Warsaw. They've been met by Boris Johnson, who has thanked them for their efforts in coming to help at this time. In addition to that, we are going to have both Royal Air Force assets in the form of a squadron of Typhoon fighters, going to reinforce already a squadron of Typhoon fighters from the RAF that are in Romania, and naval assets as well, both off Norway and in the Eastern Mediterranean. So it's ratcheting up, but in tandem with that is the diplomacy continuing apace.
OK, Mark White, appreciate your analysis. Thank you very much indeed. Our Home Affairs and Security Editor there, Mark White, joining us in the studio. Well, let's get